All right, we are back. The best pitching prospect in the world is named Roki Sasaki, and he will be pitching in Major League Baseball next year. The question is where and who will he be pitching for? And is San Diego a realistic possibility? And there's a lot of reasons to believe that it is at least a realistic possibility, if not among the favorites for Sasaki this offseason. So make your way in, all right? Offseason edition of the wrap-up show. We've had a few of these since the end of the 2024 postseason. Disappointing ending, obviously, for Padres fans, but we've turned the page for 2025. So here's the deal. If you want to comment in the chat, you have to be a subscriber. I've somehow figured that out, Jim.
Oh, you did?
So if you want to comment in the chat, you have to subscribe. So please subscribe. We have year-round content for Padres fans. Smash the like button for us. Follow us on X at Sean Schaefer at Jim Russell SD. As you know, we greatly appreciate your support of the channel. We'll get to every single super chat here tonight. If you want to support our work, if you want to see your comment on screen, if you have a question or a comment, if you want to support the channel, click the $ below the chat box. And if you want to become a member, get emojis, badges, and more, you can click the join button down below. Jim, we have an official word from ESPN. Jeff Passan's written on it. Roki Sasaki will be posted. The question is when. He is coming to Major League Baseball, and the question is, where will he be pitching in 2025? What do you know, Jim? What Japanese sources have you spoken to in the last 24 hours?
All right, so I feel like this should be said because I feel like a lot of people might not know the like details about going into his posting. So he's 23 years old. This is not a Yoshinobu Yamamoto situation. This is not a guy that's going to make or get offered $320 million. He's a guy, because of the time that he has spent professionally, he can only sign a minor league deal. So that, takes up, it eliminates him from going out and asking for a Yoshinobu Yamamoto type of contract. He's not getting that. It's almost, I don't know exactly what Ohtani's contract was when he came to the States, but signed a lot. He also signed a minor league deal with the Angels, and then, we know what happened there. But that is why this whole thing makes sense for the Padres, is because he's not going to cost you an arm and leg if he waited a couple more years before he became posted.
That's correct. He cannot make more than $7.5 million in the posting process, because anyone that's not 25 years of age cannot sign essentially a major league free agent deal. Like you said, he is following the Shohei Ohtani route. And you say, well, why would he do that? He could just wait 2 years and he could get potentially hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, Ohtani did it, and it worked out pretty well. Secondly, endorsements. Thirdly, he wants to pitch in the majors. And the club by the way, the club and the player had some type of conversation when he signed with the club that he could be posted before he was 25. So this has all been playing out over a period of time, 12, 24, 36 months. He is inarguably the best pitching prospect in the world. End of sentence.
End of sentence. Period. Done.
It's not even close. He can throw as hard as 102. He's thrown a perfect game, followed by another 20 consecutive batters retired. I think he's got the all-time professional baseball record for 52 consecutive batters retired, or the modern day record. I mean, the guy has elite stuff. His most recent year wasn't as good as some of his earlier years when he was 20 and 21 and 2020 and 22, but he's still, his numbers were ridiculous, sub-3 ERA. And he just has elite stuff. So obviously he's going to be coveted. The issue for the Padres in these situations with Preller is they've been in a lot of these conversations, including Ohtani. They were in on Ohtani, obviously didn't land him. He ended up with the Angels. It was a different world. Of course, that's when the American League had a DH and the National League didn't. But they finished as a bridesmaid in these situations a number of times. We've talked about them repeatedly over the last 4 or 5 years. I think one of the issues is obviously the Dodgers will be in on Roki Sasaki. I'm sure other teams will be as well. But this is like Preller's white whale. We've said that about other players before. But even what was the circumstance, Jim, where he talked about Peter Seidler and his passing, saying that he would have conversations with Peter about players like Roki Sasaki? He brought that up in passing. Was that at the memorial service a year ago?
It was at the memorial service at the ballpark when when AJ spoke and he mentioned Roki Sasaki's name in there. Look, this is not a matter of how much can they offer. It's, can they woo Roki Sasaki? Can they convince Roki Sasaki to come to San Diego? This is all about their pitch to him, just like it was to Ohtani back in the day when they used Hideo Nomo, right? What can they do and what can they sell to Roki Sasaki to make him choose the Padres? Because I guarantee you right now, whatever international pool money they have, all of it's going to Roki. Like I think that to me is like a slam dunk. Whatever they got, like as much as they have, like most of it's going to him.
Important distinction. If he's posted before December 15th, then there's very few teams with money available in 2024 because they've used them all. They've used all their dollars in 2024. If he's not posted until January 15th of 2025, then teams then have their full allotment of international money, which
Right.
could again allow him to earn as much as 7.5 or 7.6 million dollars. If he's posted this year, it's unlikely he ends up with San Diego based on dollars, although there's not a number of teams that have a lot of dollars. If he's posted in 2025, that's the belief. He'll be posted likely January 15th, 2025. He'll have a period of time to sign with a major league team, negotiate that. And the Padres certainly could be among the suitors. One team that won't, and thank you, JD Gatcher, for the first super of the night, is the Sacramento A's. They will not be among the suitors for Roki Sasaki. But JD Gatcher, we appreciate you for the first super of the night. If you want to, again, support the channel, you can click the $ below the chat box. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. We have year-round content for Padres fans. We talked about it as recently as maybe, I don't know, Thursday or Friday, whenever it was last week, saying that the Padres pitching staff without Joe Musgrove has two real holes. You're like, how do you address these two holes and do it responsibly, financially responsibly, right? Frugally, so to speak. This kind of solves one of those spots in your rotation. Now, again, is it going to be easy? No, because there's going to be 10 or 12 or 15 teams that are serious suitors for Sasaki. But if you were to land him, you're landing him for relatively nothing. And all of a sudden, you're putting someone towards the top of your rotation from day one, a guy in his mid-20s that throws 100, that has elite stuff, that is pitched at the highest level in Japan. I mean, it's a huge win for whoever lands him, including the Padres.
Yeah, I think, the time and effort that AJ Preller spends on building this team in the offseason, a majority of it, in my opinion, needs to go to finding a way that Roki Sasaki becomes a San Diego Padre. Like, don't you agree? Don't you feel like, this is a move? I'm not going to say it puts him over the top because he's got you've seen him pitch in the Nippon League. You've seen him pitch in the World Baseball
WBC.
Classic. So he has amazing stuff, but we don't know how it's going to translate to the big leagues.
Sure.
When he, does find a team for next year. But I will say this, it feels like this guy, and just reading about him from people around the league, he's highly coveted and he could be a frontline starting pitcher for your rotation. And for a rotation that lost Joe, that, kind of has a murky future in 2026, you put a 4-man rotation next year of Darvish, Sasaki, King, and Cease together. I like that a lot. And it's not going to cost you. It's not going to cost you the bank. It's not. That's where it becomes so enticing, is that he's not going to cost you $300 million. It's going
to cost you nothing.
He's going to cost you nothing.
And
he could be a guy that, you could see as frontline of your rotation for many years to come.
Yeah, I mean, here are the question marks. He's never thrown more than 129 in the third innings. Okay. So that's the question mark. And oftentimes in Japan, guys pitch every 6th day, not every 5th day. So there's probably an acclimation process when you make your way over, but who cares? I mean, 28 starts of a 2 ERA is damn good. But here are the numbers. In his career for this 23-year-old, he just turned 23 a week ago. For this 23-year-old, his career numbers are this. He's got a 2.02 ERA. In 414 and 2/3 innings, listen to this, 414 and 2/3 innings, he's allowed 275 hits.
Oh my God.
He's allowed 16 home runs in 414 innings. That's unheard of. He's walked 91. He has struck out 524. I mean, his numbers are flat out filth. 11 and a half strikeouts per 9, a .88 whip in his career for a starter. Unheard of for any starter, let alone any reliever, really, in baseball. So everyone's going to throw the kitchen sink at this guy.
Yeah.
Have we mentioned the fact that Darvish has a relationship with him? Now, Darvish has had a strong relationship with other Japanese players that have come over that hasn't necessarily assisted the Padres in recent history, but Darvish has a relationship with him. Preller knows Japanese. Preller talked to Seidler about him. I don't know what else they're going to need to do, but they're going to need to do a lot to hopefully land him. Now, there was that interesting line. You saw the line from ESPN about like he doesn't necessarily want to be in a large market.
I did not see that. But I don't think that even matters. I really don't think that plays a role because, look, obviously the team out there that it feels like it's almost a little bit inevitable with Yamamoto and Ohtani on it. I mean, you can't really do much there. Like if he picks the Dodgers, you kind of okay. I why. There's nothing you could do. They have Ohtani, they have Yamamoto, they have everything the Dodgers can offer, and they're going to be on them. Like why wouldn't they be? So
yeah, but it takes two to tango. It's like if they just won a World Series without you, do they need you to win? Here's the line from ESPN.com, and it was written by Kylie McDaniel. Here's the line. There has been chatter in the scouting community that Sasaki's personality and background mean he might be better suited or more interested in a smaller market. That's in Kylie McDaniel's article on the posting.
Hi.
So yeah. Again, to your point, of course, the Dodgers are going to have interest. I think a lot of teams are going to have interest. And the Dodgers might be, a favorite, if not the favorite. But I read something like that. And then I read what Jeff Passan wrote, which is that the Padres are expected to be in on him.
Oh, yeah. Which
should come as no surprise based on what Preller has said publicly, like we've talked about earlier here in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the show. I mean, the Padres are going to have, I don't know. I feel like the Padres are going to be at least considered highly in this equation. That doesn't mean they're going to land him, but that when it comes down to it, Jim, in the weeks ahead, the Padres name will be linked to Sasaki a lot. I do know that between now and whenever he ultimately signs at some point, probably in early 2025.
Yeah, Preller went heavily after Ohtani when he got posted, struck out there. He went heavily after Seiya Suzuki, struck out there. I mean, you look at other guys that Kodai Senga is another guy, went to the New York Mets.
Yeah.
I think once again, it's going to be very difficult to comprehend that if he goes out and goes after him heavily again, which I mean, why would he not? He's mentioned him publicly. Roki Sasaki has been seen wearing Padres gear. I mean, it's just like you put two and two together. AJ Preller is going after Roki Sasaki. I don't care what any reports say about, oh yeah, I think the Padres are going to be on. I'm like, no shit. Of course they're going to be in on Roki Sasaki. So if he doesn't land this player and doesn't land another top international player that he has heavily scouted, who he loves, who he desperately wants to come to San Diego, like that's going to be a tough pill, man. That's going to suck. That's going to suck.
Especially off this postseason. I mean, you're going to need to give some good news to Padres fans at some point this winter. Otherwise, it's a long, dark winter. I mean, the Dodgers won the World Series, and you're not necessarily doing anything to increase payroll this offseason. And you need to give people a reason again to believe that you can do what you did in 2024 again in 2025 and potentially get over the hurdle. Let's get to some of these super chats here, guys. Again, if you're here, please subscribe here on Content for Padres Fans. If you want to support the channel, like the Fiery Friar, you can do so by clicking the $ below the chat box. We do appreciate you, and please subscribe. You're on Content for Padres Fans. The Fiery Friar, thank you, says Quintero says we should trade Cronenworth, Jim, a former colleague of yours that you worked with for a number of years. John Quintero says we should trade Jay Cronenworth. Thoughts?
Here's my answer to that. Hey, Fiery Friar, do you not listen to this show? You know how many times you said get rid of Jay Cronenworth the last 6 months?
I mean, I'll say right now, trade Xander Bogaerts. The problem is he can't
not happening. Yeah,
I'll say right now, trade Jay Cronenworth. The problem is he's still owed $11 million per year for the next 5 years, I think. I mean, it sounds good in theory. I don't think it's impossible like Bogaerts, which is truly impossible. But I don't know how likely it is. It would free up capital to allow you to make some necessary upgrades potentially, but I just don't know how you move him. I really don't. I have no idea what a deal would look like that would involve Jake Cronenworth.
I don't either. You're not getting anything back for him that is going to really help you unless you find some diamond in the rough that the other team doesn't care about, and you turn him into a good player. But other than that, you're not getting back somebody's, top 10 prospect for another team. You're just not. You're getting some throwaways, truthfully. And you're probably going to have to eat some of that money as well. So it's a tough move to make. I have been on the side of, I think it's time to move on from Jake. The contract turned out to be kind of a miss. The way he ended this year was awful, and he's just declining every single year. And for me, I'd much rather have the resources go into signing Luis Ariz long-term than a Jake Cronenworth, but can't really cry over spilled milk because it's already happened. They've signed Jake. They can't do anything about it. They made their bed, and it's unfortunate because I thought the signing at the time was like a little weird, and it turned out to be extremely premature.
Yeah, completely unnecessary. Essentially, had put together a couple of nice seasons in the major leagues. They kind of reached for the friendly deal, which becomes unfriendly in the end because he just has not progressed. And now he's in his 30s. There's no reason to think that Jake Cronenworth's best days, unfortunately, are ahead of him. Gary, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the membership. Thank you for the super chat. Longtime supporter of our content here, Aztec stuff as well. Thank you, Gary. He says, we still need one more starter for depth. Let's trade with Tampa for, is it Zach Littell? I think that's the pronunciation on it. Former Giant, current Ray, has put together some decent seasons as a starter, including last year. We've talked about this concept, Jim, like under the radar trade possibilities, under the radar free agent options that aren't frontline pitchers like Blake Snell, right? Guys that make $8 million, not $18 million. I don't know what Littell made last year. I could look it up.
So he is arbitration eligible 2025. So that is
now.
Yeah, it says right now. Yeah. Last year he made 1.85 million.
Oh wow. Yeah. So there's like a diamond in the rough guy that's going to make, nothing. He's going to make $3 or $4 million next year. Had a nice year, didn't he?
He's a free agent after next season. Last year he had a 2.8 WAR, went 8-10. Doesn't really matter, but he had 3.63 ERA and 156 in the third innings pitched.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is a nice idea, Gary. Now, 1 year control, okay, but for $3 or $4 million, if he can give you 150,
it's not going to cost him.
That would be incredible. And what would you need to trade to get someone that's got 1 year of control before free agency with Tampa? Who knows? I mean, it probably wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. So that's an interesting name. I think that's the type of player that people should be seeking. These affordable starters with 1 or 2 years of control that aren't going to cost the Padres $15 million per year because they don't have it.
Right. And you also have to look for players that won't cost you a lot of trade chips because you don't have much to trade. You can't go out and trade your top prospects because guess who their top prospects are? It's Leo DeVries and Ethan Salas. Those guys to me aren't untouchable, but they're just not going to trade them. Like I just don't envision them trading them away at all. So what else you got in the system? What else you got in the system? You see what you can work with.
All right, we're going to get back to the conversation in a moment. I do want to remind our viewers about our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz, who's been with us since day one of the Wrap-Up Show, which is incredible. I mean, he's been with us for like 4 years on the Wrap-Up Show on YouTube. If you support our channel, please support Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance for whatever your insurance need is. He's a great insurance agent. How do we know it? Because we do business with Mark. I've got homeowners and earthquake and life insurance with Mark Nimitz. I have for years. Just by switching, you could save $750 or more. You can click the link in the description down below and get free quotes online or call Mark. He'll talk to you about the Padres. He'll talk to you about saving money if you ever need him. I needed him in 2022, had to file a claim. He was there for me and my family. Saved us so much time and money. And he does more than homeowners and life. He does auto and he does renters and he does condo and he does everything that you could possibly need from an insurance perspective. So if you're looking for information on a new policy, get in contact with Mark Nimitz. Before you renew, get in contact with Mark. Click the link in the description down below. Again, if you support the channel, please support our longtime title sponsor, who is a lifelong Padres fan and a native San Diegan, Mark Nemitz.
All his information's on that ticker there below. mnimitz@farmersagent.com is his email address. Reach out to him. Let him know that John and Jim from the Wrap-Up Show sent you.
In addition to Roki Sasaki, the Padres have a number of free agents that were on their team in 2024 that may or may not be back in 2025. I'm talking about Jurickson Profar and Ha-Seong Kim and Kyle Higashioka. How many of those players, if any, will return in 2025? We will find out, right, in the weeks ahead. We've talked about this on John and Jim repeatedly over the last week or two. I think Jim and I both prioritize Jurickson Profar a little more than we prioritize Ha-Seong Kim. It's all about years and dollars, circumstance. But the Profar thing is interesting because Kevin Acee reported this past week that it's unlikely that Profar returns to San Diego. Didn't say impossible, but says it was unlikely that Profar were to return to San Diego. And the writing on the wall with Ha-Seong Kim doesn't sound like he's going to be returning either, Jim, in 2025.
At this point, I think I would be kind of not shocked, but surprised if both of those players returned, or one of those players. And I'm not tired, Andrew. I have something in my eye. I literally, it's like something's in my eye and I can't get it out. That's why I'm itching my eye so much. I would be surprised if both of those players returned, or if one of those players returned, honestly, because I just think that the market's going to price them out of San Diego. Ha-Seong Kim did not have a good season last year, but I think by other teams, I think he's viewed as a valuable piece. Jurickson Profar had an amazing season last year, and because of that, I think teams might go, maybe he turned a corner. And Jurickson, like, this is probably his best time ever that he'll ever have to really cash out. He thought he had that after 2022, didn't happen. Well, this time, it's like, guys, I was an all-star. I started the all-star game in left field. I had an 800-plus OPS. I hit 280. I had a very high on-base percentage. I hit 20-plus home runs. Like,
right.
Hello, and I played really good defense in left field. How many outfield assists did he have? I mean, he's very capable of playing some really good defense in left field. Yeah. So this is his time to go out and cash out. And so I wouldn't have any ill will or be upset at all if he went to a different team. I'd be kind of confused if he went to a different team for anything less than 11 million, because I feel like anything less than that, the Padres, I think, could make a competitive offer to him. But if he's getting like 15, 16, hell, even 17 million a year from a team, like, it's not happening here.
I think it's not just the dollars per year, and that's a huge factor. It's how many years. If a team gives a third year and the Padres only want to give 2, or a team gives a 4th year at a lower AAV, but the total number is higher than the Padres offer in 2 or 3 years, I think that's what Kevin was basically writing about this week, that, of course, the Padres would like to have him back, and I think all things being equal, Profar would like to return. But to your point, Jim, it's a great one. It's like, how many chances do you have to, like, cash out? And if you're a 30-something-year-old player coming off a career year, this is your chance. He's not getting another contract of this worth, would be my guess. If he gets $35 million here, he'll never get $35 million again. If he gets $25 million here, he'll never get $25 million again. This is your last best chance to go out and earn. Now, do you want to earn at the expense of winning? Most people would say yes. So, like, if you get 15 a year from the Washington Nationals over 11 a year elsewhere, you're probably taking the 15 a year from the Washington Nationals, although Washington could win moving forward. But you get my point. So, yeah, I think that the Padres are going to have to be competitive here. I don't know if they have the money to do it. I really don't. Without moving players like Jake Cronenworth, without getting very creative, potentially with their roster and their payroll, I don't envision them having $15 million per year for Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, I don't either. They can go out and spend money if they wanted to. I just don't think they're going to. And I don't blame them. Man, there's something like deep in my eye. I cannot get it out. It's
what is wrong with you?
There's just like,
this is what it's like to work with Jim.
No, there's like, just
like, what do we think it is? Is it like dirt?
No,
sand?
Probably. It's like dust or something. I don't know.
You don't wear contacts, do you?
No, because I have good vision.
Okay.
What was I saying? I don't even remember what I was saying.
Something about Profar.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they can go out and spend money if they wanted to, but they're not going to. I don't think they are. I don't think they're going to be responsible. They're going to never, I feel like, give out a $300 million contract again. Could be proven wrong, but not for the foreseeable future. That ain't happening. And they're going to go spend some smart. They're going to hopefully spend smart money and not overpay for guys. And I mean, I would like Profar back a lot, but there's a reason why they did not give him a qualifying offer, because they didn't view him as a $20 million player, and they're not going to give him I feel like a big time contract for multiple years. I just don't envision that. I could be wrong, but
I think they're going to do the same thing they just did, which is find a player that will sign for $1 million and hope that they hit on that player. I mean, yeah, can you guarantee what happened with Profar and lightning strikes twice? No, you really can't. But can you go find a player on the cheap via free agency or trade for $1 or $2 or $3 million per year, as opposed to you're paying Profar off his best season? Is that a good investment? You're paying someone off their best season. What are the odds they replicate their best season each of the next 2 or 3 years? The odds obviously are low for someone like Profar. We both like him a lot. I thought he had a very nice year. He definitely tailed off at the end of the year. Yep. I mean, he definitely tailed off in the second half. Certainly the last 6 weeks of the year, he tailed off. He's still worthy of what he's going to get. Like, he's earned his 10 to 15 per year for multiple years. I just think that you probably are better served spending the money elsewhere, potentially, depending on what their payroll is. And Kevin reported this week that Eric Katsenda, Eric Grupner, and AJ Preller will meet within the week to determine what their budget is for 2025. Now, if they stay under the CBT, they don't have a lot of wiggle room. If they go over the CBT, it opens up possibilities, obviously. But I think if they stay under the CBT, it's going to be a relatively quiet free agent offseason. To your point, there's no $100 million contract in the equation. Forget about a $300 million contract. I don't think there's a $100 million contract in the equation unless it's some type of Jackson Merrill extension this offseason.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would like and I would love, actually, if somehow Michael King could get an extension from this team, but that's also probably unlikely too. It would lessen the blow if you can go out and get Roki Sasaki for 2026. I mean, obviously you'd pitch here in 2025, but beyond that, 2026, you got a 39-year-old Darvish and Joe Musgrove coming up, Tommy John, and I would love if they locked up Michael King. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I was looking at, because I've been seeing in the chat people talking about the international pool money, like how much the Padres have right now. So, like you said, January 15th through December 15th is the window that here's how much money they would have if Sasaki was posted after January 15th. They would have right now, they're in the third tier. So they would have $6.2 million of international pool money. Okay. So hopefully Roki Sasaki gets posted. And hopefully he gets posted during this window, because then the Padres would have that much money allotted to their international pool. Right now, teams with the max $7.5 million are the Reds, the Tigers, the Marlins, the Brewers, the Twins, the A's, the Mariners, and the Tampa Bay Rays.
I don't think the money matters for him. Why?
I don't think. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
those are the teams
I'm saying,
most.
But I'm saying I don't think the money's going to matter, because I think if he waited 2 years, he gets $300 million, right? He's Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So wait 2 years to get $300 million. Why are you coming over for $6 million? Why did Shohei Ohtani come over? Ohtani could have waited, got $300 million. Well, guess what? It worked out for Ohtani. Nobody's saying Sasaki is Ohtani, obviously. But because of that, my point is the 7.5 to 6.2, who cares? Now, if it's 7.5 to 900K, I mean,
that's my point.
The team's going to have money to do this, but Yeah, I understand your point. I think them having the $6+ million probably makes it feasible. And I don't think he's gonna be like, man, I love San Diego. I loved everything about it. They had 6.2 and the Reds had 7.3. No, like I
Right.
doubt that's how it ends.
Yeah. So they'll have enough money to compete if but you're right. It's also comes down to his decision to where to go. But you need the money. You can't just, like you said, you can't just go into this thing and be like, shit, we only have 900K left. Like you need to have some money to compete. You have to go to the poker table with something in your hands. And the Padres will. They definitely will. So they're in a very competitive spot for Roki Sasaki.
Here's my pitch, because I think it's a great question. I love this question from Como.
Yeah.
And guys, if you're here, please subscribe. You're on Content for Padres fans. Thank you for your support of the channel. Click the $ below the chat box if you want to make sure we see your comment, if you want us to pull it up on screen, if you want to support the channel. Here's my pitch. We've never won. We need you to do it. We're that close, as evidenced by what we did a year ago. We're closer to the Pacific than teams in the East are. If you were considering Los Angeles, why wouldn't you consider us? We're a flight away, like they're a flight away. We're close. They just won. You want to be remembered? You'll be remembered here because you're going to help us do something we've never, ever done. By the way, we have you, Darvish. By the way, AJ Preller has scouted the Pacific Rim for his career and learned Japanese. We're serious. We're committed. I mean, I think it's a pretty easy / compelling pitch, truthfully. And I did it in 30 seconds. Bring up some AI tool, you can make a better pitch in 30 seconds if you're the Padres.
Yeah, I think from an on-field standpoint, you have just as good opportunity to compete here as you do if you went to, if you went to the Dodgers, yes, they won the World Series, but guess what? We're also here and we're going to compete as well. We're not, the Rockies of the division. Right. We held our own against the Dodgers this year. Now we didn't get the job done. We held our own this year. So you're going to come to a place and you're going to have an opportunity to compete at the highest level. You just are right away. 2, I think that you can push. We have Ruben Niebla, the system that we have as far as, what we're developing here. And we want you to be the guy to be close to the top of our rotation for many years to come. If you go to LA, yeah, you'll have a chance to win right away. Absolutely. And they just won a World Series. But guess what? If you're looking at, your brand, because everyone loves to talk about their brand, you're buried behind Ohtani and you're buried behind Yamamoto. That's just a fact. Like you're the third guy of those three. You're never taking Ohtani as far as your marketing goes. Here, you could be the big fish in the, so to say, small pond or whatever you want to say for Japanese players.
Yep.
And I think Darvish plays a role in this as well. You're right. I think the way that AJ Preller has scouted him and the way that he feels about Roki Sasaki, I think that plays a factor in it as well. And obviously, San Diego's a beautiful place. If you go to LA, okay, but San Diego's way nicer of a place to live. And yeah, if you're looking, you just got to figure out what he cares about most. Whatever he cares about most, you hit that. Be like, we can give you that. You want to win? We can win. You want to be in a great environment? We have a great environment. You want to be
Niebla factor. I think Niebla's a part of it.
Yeah. You want to be with somebody to show you the ropes, like you, Darvish. We have that for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of negatives from the San Diego perspective, and that's why I think they've probably been considered highly. They just haven't won any of these bids. It's like they probably have finished top 2 or 3 times, which considering things isn't bad. It's just not good enough. Are they going to finish, number 1 for arguably the biggest pitching prospect? I mean, this from a sheer pitching prospect perspective, Roki Sasaki is probably beyond Yoshinobu Yamamoto from a sheer pitching prospect perspective. Now, he's not Ohtani because he doesn't play both ways, but I mean, this is one of the biggest pitching prospects in the world. This is the biggest pitching prospect right now in the world. So, I mean, you land Roki Sasaki, you've landed a potential future ace. The Fiery Friar, thank you. He says, when will we know Rookie of the Year is Merrill still favorite? So I just looked this up, Jim.
November 18th. Right?
Okay, yeah, I didn't know the date. Guess who's favored right now at both DraftKings and FanDuel and 365? Bet 365.
I'm gonna say right now, unfortunately, Paul Skeens.
Yeah, it's Paul Skeens at all three. So Skeens is minus 145 at two of them, minus 140 at the other. Jackson Merrill's plus 115, plus 105, plus 110.
Which would make no sense.
Now, again, this is based on 30 votes, so I don't know how much insider information there is. It doesn't guarantee that Paul Skeens is going to win it, but there's at least a 50-50 shot that Paul Skeens is going to win it. So I think we all need to brace for the possibility that Jackson Merrill does not win it. I think he very well could. I think it'll be close. I know it'll be close. But I think there's a distinct possibility he may not win it, but hopefully he still does, I guess is what I would say. It looks like a coin flip where he might be on the wrong side of the coin presently.
So he won the Rookie of the Year voted by the players.
Right. That's right. There was one other that he won, right?
He won.
It was Sporting News.
Sporting News. Okay. Yeah. So the Sporting News named him Rookie of the Year. The Players Association names him Rookie of the Year. If these writers, I mean, dude. I mean, I'll get upset about it for sure. Mm-hmm. But in the long run, if Jackson Merrill just continues down this path, then I'll be fine with it. What would suck though is that you missed out an opportunity to get a first round draft pick if you won Rookie of the Year.
Yes, that's correct. If they finish top two, you might get something. I don't know.
I mean, I doubt it.
I need to look it up. But, I mean, the point is valid. The point is valid that there's a benefit to winning Rookie of the Year. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, November 18th is coming. What is that, a week away? It's a week away. It's next Monday.
Yeah.
So, is that right? Yeah, it's next Monday. All right. I want to hold everything for one moment. I want to remind people of a great, great holiday gift idea, Jim. And that is, hold on, drum roll. Mova Globes. Our friends at Mova Globes. Pick one of these puppies up for the holidays. Great gift idea. They have all 30 teams officially licensed through Major League Baseball. You can see the MLB logo actually on the bottom of this as it spins by. You'll see it coming up right there. Boom. MLB logo on the bottom. Boom. These are available for all 30 teams. They spin automatically. No batteries, no cords, no wires, no nothing. It's based on magnets and I say the curvature of the Earth, that's wrong. It's the way the Earth moves or spins and the way the moons and the orbits and the planets all align together to make globes. That's from the company. So if you want one of these, use promo code PWS10, and you're going to get 10% off. This is a great holiday gift idea for the baseball fan in your life. All right. Padres fans, whatever your team is, they have all 30 teams. Click the link in the description down below. Get 10% off with promo code PWS10. That's PWS10. Great gift idea. They have other globes, by the way, Jim, not just baseball globes. They have world globes.
I know.
Planetary globes.
Yeah. Yes.
If you like Mars, they got Mars.
If you like the moon, they got the moon.
They got the moon. They got them all. They got
Pluto, like the giant ball of gas that we're all revolving around. They have that as well.
Yeah, they have the moon. We talked about that. They have Earth. They got them all. Pick them up. Look at this thing. Okay.
Yes, John, you're selling it. You're selling it, buddy.
Look at that.
Yeah, there you go. Throw it at your computer.
Look at that. Real stitches.
You can feel the stitches.
You really can. Anyway, promo code PWS10. Click the link in the description down below. Your kids will love them.
Yes,
your wife will as well if you're married.
Yeah. Jones is the perfect example for that.
Yeah, he loves it. He absolutely loves it.
Loves it.
I mentioned Ruben Niebla, multi-year extension. Mike Schilt, we haven't had a show since Mike Schilt, I don't think, got a multi-year extension through 2027. So Schilt through 27, Niebla at least through 2026 based on reporting. It could be longer. AJ Preller, by the way, is he extended beyond 2026 now that Mike Schilt is through 2027? So you got some stability, Jim, in your front office and coaching staff right now for 2025 and beyond. It's not something we say often with the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I thought that the team stabilized after 2022, and that wasn't the case. I hope that the team is stabilized for the foreseeable future right now with everybody in place. Preller, Schilt, Niebla, like, I mean, I hope that stays together, and I hope and if it does stay together, that means it's working. So, and they're winning. So 2027, that's great. We don't know the exact contract details for Ruben Niebla. We don't know if Preller has been extended past 2026, but Mike Schilt is here for the foreseeable future, which is good. I think he is the right manager for this team. I think that his leadership is what's needed, and I'm glad he signed. I'm glad he's here. The question to me now is like, who's this team's owner for the foreseeable future? Is it Eric Casenda? Is it somebody else? Like, who will be the owner of this team in 2 years? Will it be Eric Casenda or will it be somebody else? And that I think is a very valid question to ask, because we were all under the impression that, after the passing of Peter, Eric Casenda was going to take the reins until they found a permanent solution. Now, I don't know how long that process does take, because I'm sure it takes a while, but who's writing the checks? Who's in charge? Is it Katsenda? Is it somebody like, what's the direction of this ownership going forward? I think that's a question that hopefully is like definitively asked here, at least this offseason or into next year.
Yeah, the issue is, I mean, Eric Kitsen has only spoken publicly to the media once. It was last
Right.
February, and he took a number of questions. He probably spoke for 20 minutes. He was well prepared and well spoken, but he is not a public figure really in the way that like Peter Seidler was. I mean, Peter would at least speak with the media a handful plus times per year, whether it was radio, media scrums, press conferences like managers or players. You'd hear from Peter 5 to 10 times per year. We've heard from Eric Katsenda one time since Peter Seidler's passing. Like, the winter meetings are coming up starting December 9th. Will anyone be there representing ownership to speak with the media? The answer is no. Will there be availability from AJ Preller? Yes. Will he dodge questions like what's their payroll?
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm excited for the winter meetings coming up starting December 9th. That's less than a month away. We're not going to find out a payroll number because you're not going to hear from an Eric Katsenda type. And I'm with you on Eric Katsenda. It's like, is he going to be representing ownership even in 2025? When we get to next February, is it Eric or is it potentially someone in the Seidler family, Peter's wife, someone else in the family representing ownership? I mean, it's all a possibility for San Diego. And it does seem like under Katsenda, they're getting their house in order. The payroll came way down. Now they won, to their credit. They really did. They won at a nice clip. But it does seem like anything that was out of line from a like accounting perspective, they've tried to rein in. I mean, just look at their actions over the last year. It looks like they've reined in spending. And I expect that to continue in 2025 if it's Eric Katsenda that's at the mic in February at spring training.
I do too. And in a couple years, guys' contract like Manny and Tatis, those things are ballooning for single seasons. Like Manny next year is, I think, making like what, 16 or something. It's not a crazy number.
Right. You're talking about like cash. You're talking about cash. Yeah.
Yes. Bogarts is the highest paid player next year. Like he'll get the most money next year on the team. His AAV obviously is what it is. Same thing with Manny. That's the CBT number.
That's right.
But the payroll for next season, it's gonna keep going up. Like at some point, Manny's gonna be making $35 million a season. Tatis will be making 30 plus million a season. And I know that they can compete with the payroll that they had last year. I know they can. Any team can compete with that payroll. The question is, can they maintain that payroll? And can they at times bump it up a little bit when need be? Because if you continue to go down, and if in 2 or 3 years this thing is down by another 10%, that's a big, big red flag issue problem. What's happening?
Yeah, like to your point, so Manny makes 17 million in 2025. This is what he's, you say, well, what does it matter, guys? It's the same AAV, but the Padres need to have this amount of money on hand.
Yeah,
So he makes 17 million in 2025. He makes 25 million in 2026. He makes 39 million for the rest of his career.
oh my,
He makes 39 million
yeah,
every single year, which by the way is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 consecutive years. He's owed $39 million. And if Manny Machado in 2027 is still the player he was in the second half of 2024, I give Manny Machado a lot of credit. It's
that's great.
possible.
Love it.
It's possible.
Possible. Yeah.
But it's also possible that he's not the same player in 2027. That goes back to the original point about why we're all here every single night. You got to win as close to now as possible. This isn't about 2026 or 2027. We said it a year ago. It was about 2024. And they came close. Not close, but close. And now in
Felt like
2025, they got to come, they got to get there again because it's only going to get more challenging potentially for them.
That's why if you feel like there's a player out there that you can maybe push the limit on a little bit, not crazy, like, you're not getting Soto, Snell, Corbin Burns, right?
Yeah.
But if there's a player out there that you can maybe push the limit on, then I think you have to look at that and really go out and try and do it. Roki Sasaki is a player that you're just going to have to hope that he picks you. Like, you can't offer him more money than another team. It's essentially like there's a set number there and he's got to choose you. So your pitch, your, PowerPoint projection pitch better be on point. I think one of the biggest reasons why Shohei didn't come here back in, what was it, 2016 or 15?
DH, don't you?
Because they didn't have the DH. Yeah, they didn't have the DH, and he'd have to be in the outfield or wherever. And
I
it
think
just
was a huge part of it.
Huge part of it. And he chose in LA, shocker, had a team with the DH.
Right.
And I kind of feel like his plan all along was at the end of his contract with the Angels was he's going to go to the Dodgers. Like,
yeah, probably.
So, whatever their pitch is to Roki Sasaki has to be like an A+ pitch. And you hope that he gets posted in the right time. And you hope that he doesn't all of a sudden decide to go, you know what? Actually, I'm going to wait 2 more years so I can cash out like Yamamoto. Because if that happens, then you're screwed. You're not getting them.
What type of reflection would it be? I mean, I think it's at least worthy of 60 seconds on what if he does sign with the Dodgers, because there's a very good chance, even if it's a 33% chance, there's 30 teams. So that's a good percent. What reflection is that on Major League Baseball, positively or negatively? If Sasaki goes where Yamamoto and Ohtani are, they already have Betts and Freeman. They already have guys like Tyler Glass now coming back. They already have Ohtani potentially pitching, obviously. In 2025, they're already the World Series favorite. They just won one without starting pitching, or a lot of it. I mean, what would it mean for the sport if he signed with the LA Dodgers? What does it mean for the Padres? I mean, just another hill to climb, essentially. I mean, there's no guarantees in baseball. You don't guarantee a World Series in January. But, man, it's going to make him a prohibitive favorite. I know that.
Yeah, it just continues to make baseball completely uneven. Like,
rich get richer.
Like the scale for baseball right now, it just is like Dodgers are up here, everyone else is down here. Now, I would put the Mets with the Dodgers.
Probably.
I would put probably the Yankees with the Dodgers as teams that can just kind of bully their way around with their resources. Definitely the Mets. Steve Cohen he might be crazy enough to offer Juan Soto $700 million this offseason. So you have 2, maybe 3 teams in baseball that can throw their weight around and do whatever they want and get whatever they want, right? And you have everybody else kind of trying to pick up the scraps, hoping to overtake one of those teams in one of these years. It just would be it would just be very disappointing. I know you have people be like I heard Colin's stupid take the other day of like, yeah, the Dodgers should go out and sign Juan Soto, make a super team. Like, you realize that you do that, this ain't like it ain't like basketball, right? Where you can, it's not like that where every team has the same competitive advantage as the Warriors did. The Warriors just got lucky because Steph was under such a friendly contract they could fit KD in there. You can't do that in baseball. Baseball, you sign Juan Soto, it completely just tips the scales out of whack even more than it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, the one difference obviously between the Dodgers offseason of 2024, as in last year, and the offseason now of 2025, is they went out and spent it with cold hard cash. Like Ohtani Yamamoto's a bill. Sasaki's a handful of $1 million. It's literally nothing.
He'd be making more than Ohtani.
Yeah, he might be making more than Ohtani. It's a good point because of the deferral. But like the Yamamoto and Ohtani were like cold, hard cash moves, like showing off their spending prowess, showing how deep their pockets are, proving the worth of a TV contract, showing how important it is to be in market number 2. This is about luring, right? This is about pitching. Now, I think they have a good pitch too. We just won a World Series. We're built to win, and you're going to be a centerpiece of our winning ability, moving forward.
We're basically the U.S. Japanese World Baseball Classic team with Ohtani and Yamamoto.
I mean, honestly, there's no doubt about it. So, I mean, they have a compelling pitch, I'm sure. I think the Padres will probably have a compelling pitch, and other teams will too. I'm just excited to hear that he's actually been posted, truthfully, because if you waited this thing off, they weren't going to get him. And here's why. Even if we could fast forward 2 years, he's going to get $300 million. You just said they're not signing anyone for $300 million. You're right. So this is like getting a player on. This is like going into a place you really like, the store, and it's a 50% off sale. But it's more than that. It's like an 80% off sale. And you're like, I'm buying everything. You want to buy on this stock because it is discounted because he's coming over as a 23-year-old.
So let me get this straight. We want him to be posted after January 15th.
Yeah, I think most of baseball does, Jim, because if it's December 15th or before, there's very few teams with any dollars to spend because they've all used them.
Yeah.
But if it's January 15th, like you said earlier when you were reading it, it starts a new pool period, and that pool period opens it up as high as 7.5 for some teams and 7 and 6.5. Right. So it makes sense for Sasaki probably to wait till January 15th because you go from maybe $1 million to $7 million. I mean, I would think he'd at least get the higher as opposed to the lower, but I guess you never know.
Yeah, I would expect. I mean, I don't like fully know all the details, but if that is the case, then hopefully it's January 15th. Because you're right. I think you look at teams right now, they don't have a bunch of money, and maybe that he doesn't care about that, but still, I think whoever his agent is gonna be like, look, we're gonna get you posted January 15th. You still have plenty of time to get ready for spring training, for everything. January 15th is a good time. Then things will start really rolling there. And, you're in camp with plenty of time to spare. No worries, because camp would start in about a month and you're good to go.
So I'm looking at this article from Kyler McDaniel. So no team right now has more than $2.5 million. Guess who that team is? Shocker, the LA Dodgers. So no team now is more than 2.5, but then every team come January 15th has at least 5.
Right.
So, I mean, to your point, what's the difference between December 15th and January 15th? Nothing. Christmas.
You wait it out. You can wait it out.
No team is in camp, like you said. I mean, there's no spring training. So if you signed February 1st, you'd still have weeks before spring training even started.
It's just a smart business decision too. Like, why get posted before the time that every team
has availability to kind of get you
right? Even if you have a list of like your top 3 or 4 teams, that's great. Don't you want to see what like all is out there and everything, right?
I agree.
That's how I would play.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Now, January 15th still a while off, but you've waited this long. I mean, who cares?
Yeah, I would. Again, what's going to happen tomorrow. It's like, oh, Roki Sasaki officially posted. Dodgers have just signed Roki Sasaki. I'd be like, dude, I literally can't anymore.
This to me, hopefully, this to me is going to be one of the biggest offseason talking points. I don't think it's resolved before the winter meetings. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I think this plays out more in the timeline that ESPN is writing about January of next year as opposed to December of this year. That's
right now
what seemingly makes sense.
Yeah, right now, I would say the top free agents, assuming Sasaki will be posted,
Mm-hmm.
and assuming that it will be posted, it will be posted. Hopefully, January 15th, right?
Yep.
No, Johnny, he's not posted. He's going
He's
to
not
be
posted.
posted.
He will be posted.
Yeah, that's what the
Yep.
announcement was.
Yeah, the announcement is he will be.
Don't you feel like he moves into the top free agent on the market along with Snell and Burns and Soto
Pitching?
and
Yeah, he's behind Soto to me.
really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean, Soto dead of his prime,
Yeah, and it's just,
unicorn offensive player. That's what I would say. I could be convinced otherwise, maybe.
I think the biggest factor why he's the number 2 person in my list is the money. It's
The money makes it. If it's only
Yeah.
money, you could argue he's number one. From a sheer talent day one perspective, it's probably Soto over Sasaki. I would guess.
Well, I wouldn't put him as number 1. But I would, as far as like the pitching market goes, if you are looking for a
Yes,
frontline pitcher with
agreed.
like amazing stuff,
Number one
23
pitcher.
years old,
Number one
dude,
pitcher.
I mean, Snell's going to be in his 30s. Corbin
Yeah,
Burns is in his 30s, and they're going to cost you 150 to 200 million
yeah,
dollars.
completely agree.
And they might have already had their best seasons behind them. Roki Sasaki's coming in on a minor league contract for upwards of $6 million to $7 million under team control for how long?
I don't.
Like,
What is the length? Because remember, Otani was 6 years. Is it 6 years?
is it like a true like?
I think so. I think it's 6 years. That's like unbelievable.
Well, then to me, he's the most coveted out there just because of those circumstances alone.
Yeah.
Right.
He's right there. No, I mean, he's the most coveted pitcher. There's no question about it. Based on everything you said, you could argue he's the most coveted player. I mean, Juan Soto is going to get so much damn attention and money, and is a first ballot future Hall of Famer that
Yeah.
he's one of the biggest free agents in the history of the sport. We've been talking about it for 5 years.
Yeah.
But Roki Sasaki is absolutely the top available pitcher in free agency heading into 2025. There's no question in my mind about that. We can get back to this in a moment. I do want to remind our viewers about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. This is a great time to be playing right in the middle of football season. Obviously, baseball will be coming back early next year, but you can play across all sports. I'm talking about NBA and college football, NFL, and NHL. Underdog, use promo code PODSWRAP by clicking the link in the description down below and get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 right now. So use promo code PODSWRAP, that's PADSWRAP, get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 right now. Plus, you can win up to 1,000 times your money in a single night. They're going to give you a free gimme first pick, like higher than a half passing attempt from Lamar Jackson, for example, in his next game, or higher than a half total point from LeBron James in his next game. It's simple, it's easy, it's fun. The best and easiest place to play is Underdog. And remember to use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP.
Promo code right there. Scan it. Download
Yeah.
the Underdog Fantasy app. PODSWRAP. PADSWRAP is our promo code. Sign up today. Higher or lower on your favorite players. Download the Underdog Fantasy app right now. Football season, college basketball season, NBA, NHL, all of it. Sign up right now. PODSWRAP. PADSWRAP.
No doubt about it. So, I mean, how do we feel about Sasaki?
This is going to happen.
Yeah.
We are all going to get our freaking hopes so high, and it's
Probably.
going to be like, well, he's going to the Dodgers.
It's like Lucy pulling the football, and there goes Charlie.
Yeah. Or he goes to some rando team. You're like, huh?
Yeah, what do you mean he went to the Orioles? That's not that random, but yeah.
We went to the Mariners.
Mariners always, yeah, I'm thinking West, right? I'm thinking West, which puts you on that list. And you can rule out a couple of teams like the A's. I don't know if you can roll out the Giants. I mean, there's going to be so many bidders. There's going to be so much interest. And the Padres are going to be one of those teams.
Well, this is a player that, Preller has been scouting for a long time.
Yeah.
He's been on his mind for a long, long time. There's no doubt about that. So I hope it comes to fruition. I hope that, seeing Roki Sasaki wearing Padres gear and Preller openly talking about Roki Sasaki, plays a benefit to the Padres' chances to get him.
So I'm reading an article here. Hold on, because I didn't read this. Padres has special connection that could land them Roki Sasaki. It's obviously clickbait, and it's like the fake Sports Illustrated sites.
Oh,
But is
yeah,
it because he used to train in Peoria? Is that why he's worn the Padres stuff?
Maybe.
I'm asking that question out loud, or I don't know if that's accurate. That's why I'm asking it. No, I don't think that's accurate. It might be. I don't know. I thought there was something with someone training in Peoria, but it might not be Sasaki. I have no idea. If someone knows, put it in the chat. JD Gacho, appreciate you, my friend. He says, clap emoji for Aztec for Life, Paul Stumpf. He coaches UCSB's women's soccer. They won the Big West auto bid and are in the NCAAs for the first time since 2009. Hashtag LFGSB. Thank you, JD Gacho. Appreciate your support of the channel. Congratulations to the UCSB soccer program.
Yeah.
Oh, you gave him that gear, James says. Okay, that makes sense.
There you go. You Darvish being a good salesperson.
Yeah, thank you.
Love it.
You was his favorite pitcher growing up. Okay. We'll see what the value is.
I hope it works out for them, because man, would that just, I feel like, gives such a jolt of energy to the organization. Like,
oh my gosh, through the fan base, truthfully, Jim. I mean,
yeah.
You sign this level of player, that's a huge win on its face.
Remember when I said, what's that move? That's not gonna, I don't know if it's going to put him over the top, but
right.
I mean, you got to try to keep up at least, or have the perception of keeping up, because you can't slash payroll again. You can't just let all these free agents walk and not really do anything. And you can't just be like, we have a couple guys in our system that we really like. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you can't. You're in the window now where you got to win. You got to make moves to win. Roki Sasaki is a move to win. I don't know if he's going to turn into like a Cy Young Award winner here in the States, but his stuff's filthy. He's 23 years old, and he's going to cost you nothing. So
put all your chips in on that. And again, to your point, I mean, yeah, you hate to get your hopes up just to be let down again, but what other choice do you have? I'd prefer to get my hopes up. And I mean, that the Padres are going to put their chips in on him. They might get their hopes up, and they might get let down too. I think the fan base should be hopeful and optimistic. What other choice do you have as a fan in the offseason?
This is a Roki Sasaki channel now.
Yes.
That's just what it is until told otherwise.
I heard he's not going to sign here unless we get to 8,000 subscribers.
I heard that as well. We are close-ish. We're only a couple hundred away.
300. Yeah.
So we're almost at 7,700 subs. So if you have not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button on this episode as well. All the likes, the better. Helps out the algorithm. Hit that like button for us, and then hit the subscribe button. We're close to 7,700. So yeah, you know the drill.
Yeah, can you help us get to 7,700 subscribers? Seriously, if you're here live or on replay, if you haven't subscribed, we do appreciate your support of the channel. And yeah, he's not signing unless we get to 8,000. So whenever he's posted, this channel better be at 8,000 subs or he's not coming to San Diego. All right, join us tomorrow, John and Jim. Much more on Roki Sasaki and his future. We're on San Diego Sports 760. We're on the iHeartRadio app. We're on YouTube as well. Search for John and Jim 760. If you're not watching or listening, we really ask that you support that as well, because that's our day job. And without the day job, who knows if there's a night job. So please support us on John and Jim 3 to 6 right now on San Diego Sports 760. Smash the like button for us. We appreciate that. Follow us on X at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Thank you for the super thanks if you're here on replay. We appreciate your support of the channel. Just click the $ below the chat box. If you want to become a member, you can click join down below, or you can do whatever else I just said. For Jim, I'm John. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. on John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Thanks, guys.